So I'm in Cognitive Science Department, but today I represent primarily the Institute for Mathematical Behavioral Sciences. The Institute existed for a number of years, but this coming academic year, the Institute is trying to define a new theme for the Institute. And the title, the name of the theme would be something like artificial mind. So what is artificial mind? You can think about artificial intelligence, but a little bit more specific. So this would be this aspect of artificial intelligence which tries to emulate the human mind. So one of the first steps would be to establish stronger relations between the cognitive sciences and School of Information and Computer Sciences on campus, because they are interested in artificial intelligence. But since here today we are talking about the brain, you could ask, why not building artificial brain rather than artificial mind? Or maybe it doesn't matter. And it seems that the two concepts, artificial mind and artificial brain, or mind and brain, they actually do refer to different things. They are like different views of the same stuff. And I don't have a lot of time to elaborate on this, but let's see how far we can go. So one of the, assuming that I can go to the next slide. All right, is to use the concept of what is referred to as strong AI. I'm not advocating this concept. I'm not saying that I agree or disagree with it, but looking at how the concept is defined allows you to see the difference between mind and brain. So strong AI claims that one can emulate all cognitive functions, all human intelligence on a computer, and it doesn't have, and it can, so you could have cognitive functions operating in a computer outside of the human brain. So this position assumes that there is nothing special about the biological nature of the human brain. It is an open question, what is the relation, and how far the work on mind informs the science of brain and vice versa. So what are the cognitive functions that we typically discuss in our institute and in my department? It would be visual and auditory perception, problem-solving thinking, linguistic communication, and so on. Obviously, you can immediately think about the brain circuits that are involved in those cognitive functions. So this is, so at some point, it may not be obvious whether you need a clear distinction between mind and the brain. One concept from applied mathematics which actually can help establishing bridges is the concept of optimization. Essentially, all modern theories of cognitive functions in psychology take the form of optimization problems. And that's nice because engineers are familiar with the concept of optimization, physicists are familiar with this concept, and biologists as well. So as one example, and I only have a couple of minutes to briefly describe this example of cognitive function, is visual perception. The world is three-dimensional, but the input to the human brain and to the computer is a two-dimensional image, camera image or retinal image. So mathematically speaking, there are always infinitely many three-dimensional interpretations that could have produced the two-dimensional image. How is your brain able to figure out which of those infinitely many is the correct one? And we now know how this is done. Your mind or your brain is asking which of those infinitely many three-dimensional configurations is maximally symmetrical. And then you actually, if you look at the cube, you see a cube. And this generalizes to many other objects because all natural objects in our lives are symmetrical, either because of the reason of locomotion or because of the reasons of growth. So this is how our algorithms actually work. We implemented the algorithms, and the summary slide, we already have a good idea about how you could emulate human visual perception in a computer. So you could actually say that we were able to solve the strong AI version of visual perception. So what's the role of brain in this context? So one of the interesting aspects is that when you look at the algorithms which solve vision problem, it takes forever for them to analyze images. It is not unusual that the analysis of a single scene may take like 24 hours, but the human mind or human brain is able to analyze the three-dimensional scene in a fraction of a second. So it is tempting to think, as what the third bullet says, is that actually the biological structure of the brain, by the way of implementing the familiar least action principle in physics and chemistry, this may be a way of producing very quick solutions to optimization problems. So this is one way to see how cognitive science and how study of the human mind may actually interact with the study of the human brain. And that's the end of my talk. If you have questions, send me emails. Thank you.